Hello everyone, and thanks for watching Edupedia World videos. This is Sabiuddin Ahmed Siddiqui, and now we are continuing with the previous video that we were left off on inheritance. Now continuing with the next part, that is Java tokens. Now what are Java tokens? Basically to enable you to understand the use of each particular categories while programming in Java. So let's move on to the next slide that will guide you through the rest of the Java tokens. Now here we go, that we have Java tokens. We have basically 5 types of Java tokens here. The first one is the reserved keywords, or the reserved words, or keywords you can separately call them. Then we have identifiers on number 2, and then on number 3 we have literals. On number 4 we have operators. On number 5 we have separators. So we will take a look of each one by one. Now here the 50 reserved words or keywords which Java provides, that is you can see if I call them out one by one, so you will be amazed that these 50 words are very important while programming in Java. And we will be just focusing this in a way that we just need to know about that how many keywords are there and how many keywords or reserved words are there which we have to use on their particular use. That means on their particular usage, such as for example if you are using them, so you must know about this thing, and before you create your own variable or keyword or variable or identifier, you must know about these first. So in this way we have 50 keywords. I am just calling them one by one. The first one is the abstract, then assert, then boolean, then break, byte, case, catch, character, class, const, continue, default, do, double you can see, else, extends, false, final, finally, float, for, go to, if, implements, import, instance of, int, or it is also known as int, interface, long, native, new, package, private, protected, public, return, short, static, super, switch, synchronized, this, throw, transient, true, try, void, volatile, while, and the last one is strict fp. Now you can see all these 50 reserved words, and you will be using some of them while programming in Java, but to make you sure that you must know about them before you get expertise in Java programming. So continuing with the category wise, that where they are used and how can we remember them. Now I have tried to just make you sure that if you want to remember them in a way that they are available easily and you can put them on your fingertips. The first one is access modifiers, which includes private, protected, and public. Then on second number you can see class methods, variable modifiers, abstract, class, extends, final, implements, interface, native, new, static, strict fp, synchronized, transient, and volatile. Now on category number 3, that is flow control, it includes break, case, continue, default, do, else, for, if, instance of, return, switch, and while. The next one is package control, that is import and package. Now you have seen in category number 5 primitive types, that means data types which are boolean, byte, character, double, float, integer, long and short. Now next is error handling. Assert, catch, finally, throw, throws and try. Or you can remember this, for error handling we have several keywords that include assert, catch, finally, throw, throws and try. Now coming on to the next one, that is enumeration, which includes only one keyword, that is enum. On the other hand, there are some other keywords which include super, this and void. The unused keywords we have const and goto. So basically these two keywords are not more commonly used but may be used. So the earlier the programmers used to use these two. For example, if you have work in C language, we normally write the statement to go to the block level. Let's suppose go to A, go to B. So we have to make a label in the program, and then we used to use this go to, and then this go to just direct the flow of the control to the next block of the code. So now you have seen that we have 9 categories in which we have divided these 50 words easily in these 9 categories. So continuing with this, to understand the meanings of it, we have to take a look of this once. Now the keyword is abstract. Now you can go through this, which indicates that the details of a class, a method or an interface are given elsewhere in the code. Then you have assert, that tests the truth of a condition that a programmer believes is true. Then you have boolean, indicates that a value is either true or false. Then you have break, jumps out of a loop or switch. Then you have byte, basically it indicates that a value is an 8-bit whole number. Then you have case, introduces one of several possible paths of execution in a switch statement. Then you have catch, introduces statements that are executed when something interrupts the flow of execution in a try clause. Then you have character, it indicates that a value is a character, a single letter, digit, punctuation symbol and so on, stored in 16 bits of memory. Then a class, which introduces a class, a blueprint for an object, that means a structure. Then you have const, you cannot use this word in a Java program. The word has no meaning because it's a keyword. You cannot create a const variable. Now you have continue, which forces the abrupt end of the current loop iteration and begins another iteration. Then you have default, which introduces a path of execution to take when no case is a match in a switch statement. Then you have do, which causes the computer to repeat some statements over and over again. For example, as long as the computer keeps getting unacceptable results. That means, for example, this is a structure which is used and which will execute only once, at least once, because the condition is tested after the execution. Now you have the double, that is which also includes that the value is a 64-bit number with one or more digits after the decimal point. Then you have else, which introduce statements that are executed when the condition is in an if statement is not true. That means it introduces statements that are executed when the condition in an if statement is not true. Then moving on to the enum, that creates a newly defined type, a group of values that a variable can have. Then you have extends keyword, that is used to create a subclass, a class that reuses functionality from a previously defined class. The concept here is the parent and child class. The parent child can be extended to reference the properties or objects or variables from the parent class. Or you can say that if you want to get the, or you are just you can say inheriting some objects or properties from any of the classes, you are extending. Let's suppose class A extends B. That means B will be the master class, and so on, and A will inherit the properties of B. Then final indicates that a variable's value cannot be changed, that a class functionality cannot be extended, or that a method cannot be overridden. Finally, introduces the last will and testament of the statements in a try clause. I repeat, finally introduces the last will and testament of the statements in a try clause. That means if you are unsure, so finally will do the rest. Then coming on to float, which indicates that a value is 32-bit number with one or more digits after the decimal point. Now continuing with the for, which gets the computer to repeat some statements over and over again, for example a certain number of times. Let's suppose for a equals to 1 semicolon, a less than 10, or a less than equals to 10 semicolon, and a plus plus, that means which will give an increment to for loop till 10 times. Coming on to go to, you cannot use this word in a Java program. The word has no meaning to it because it is a keyword. You cannot create a go to variable. Coming on to if, test to see whether a condition is true. If it's true, the computer executes certain statements. Otherwise, the computer executes other statements. That means it is based on conditions. Implements reuses the functionality from a previously defined interface. Basically, this keyword is used to implement the interface. Simple is that. Now import, as you know that you have already used this word import. You are importing the Java libraries through this word import. Import java.util, that means java.utility dot asterisk semicolon, that means you have just called the whole library of Java utility. Then you have instance of. This tests to see whether a certain object comes from a certain class. That means you are comparing two things and you are checking the instances of each. Then integer int indicates that a value is a 32-bit whole number. Then coming on to interface, which introduces an interface which is like a class but less specific. Interfaces are used in place of the confusing multiple inheritance features that's in C++. Then you have long, that indicates that a value is a 64-bit whole number. Then you have native, which enables the programmer to use code that was written in another language, one of those awful languages other than Java. Now continuing with the new, you are already well aware of this keyword that is new. When you instantiated the object, creates an object from an existing class. You had a button class, you had a JButton class. I am just referencing back. So your JButton, JB equals to new JButton. So you have to remember that. Then you have a package. Again, this is the very first line of the program where you include this, which puts the code into a package, a collection of logically related definitions. Then private indicates that a variable or method can be used only within a certain class. Then you have protected, indicates that a variable or method can be used in subclasses from another package. You have public, you are well aware of this, access modifier, which indicates that a variable, class or method can be used by any other Java code. Then you have come to return, that ends execution of a method and possibly returns a value to the calling code. Then you have short data type. Basically this is a data type short, which indicates that a value is a 64-bit whole number. Then you have static, indicates that a variable or method belongs to a class rather than to any object created from the class. Then you have strict FP, that is used to limit the computer's ability to represent extra large or extra small numbers when the computer does intermediate calculations on float and double values. Then you have super, refers to the superclass of the code in which the word super appears. Now you can see that the switch statement, which comes as a keyword, you can see that it tells the computer to follow one of many possible paths of execution, one of many possible cases, depending on the value of an expression. That means this switch will allow you to, or give you the interface to catch the input from you, and then it will execute on the input values or parameters. So this is the use of switch, and is a replacement or best replacement of if structure. Then you have synchronized, that keeps two threads from interfacing or interfering with one another. I repeat, keeps two threads from interfering with one another. That means you have to check the coordination, that each one is synchronized or doing the work parallelly, or to check it. Then this is a keyword which has a self-reference, refers to the object in which the word this appears. That means if the reference is not found or you are unable to use this, then you can just write this. This means what will be in the memory, which will reference the direct object, that is this. Then coming on to throw, creates a new exception object and indicates that an exceptional situation, usually something unwanted, has occurred. That means you are suppressing the problem with the used keyword throw. That means it will receive the exception and it will throw the exception out, and with the message you will publish. Now throws, which is another keyword similar to throw. Now throws indicates that a method or constructor may pass the buck when an exception is thrown. That means it will, the method or constructor may pass the buck when an exception is thrown. That means it will suppress the problem and receive problems and throw as the throw does. Then you have transient, which indicates that if and when an object is serialized, a variable's value does not need to be stored. Then you have try, introduces statements that are watched during runtime for things that can go wrong. Runtime basically is known as, that means when you run the program and you are operating the program, this is known as runtime. That means the program is loaded into memory, that is known as runtime. Now void, basically void indicates that a method does not return a value. That means if the method or the signature is of integer type, you must keep the signature to receive the returning values. Let's suppose integer int maths or int calculation. So this int is the signature of the data type and calc is the name of the method, and the values you will be passing through, or the parameters you will be using, that will be the numbers variable. That is why you have to keep the type integer, so that when the returning objects will send some values, so it can receive the value. If you don't have these things, so you will use void, which will indicate that a method does not return a value. Then you have volatile, which imposes strict rules on the use of a variable by more than one thread at a time. Then you have a while, which is a loop keyword. While repeats some statements over and over again as long as a condition is still true. So these are the basic and 50 reserved words or keywords in Java. So why I have included this, to just make you enable and well informed to use any of these, because the student gets back when he does not know about these keywords, and if the instructor uses these keywords, so they become very awkward, and then you know that what is the use of these. So this is basically included to just make you ensure that these are the proper words and reserved words which are used in Java. So every Java programmer must study these keywords before continuing or learning any sessions of Java. So I hope you will enjoy this, because I have included this as a new object in these videos. So I hope you will like it. Thanks for watching.